My dad said, "You don't deserve that house. It should go to your stepsister." So I took him to court over my grandma's will, exposed his greed, and watched him break down when the judge gave it all to me. I'm 28, and never thought my own father would try to steal from me. But that's exactly what happened. About 3 months ago, my grandmother passed away and left me her house. It's nothing fancy, just a 2-bedroom home in a decent area, but it's mine. Her will was clear, legally signed and witnessed. We were very close, especially after my parents divorced when I was 12 and my dad remarried a year later. From the moment she came into our lives, my stepmother made it obvious she didn't want me around. When she gave birth to my stepsister 2 years later, I was pushed aside even more. My stepsister became the center of attention, the perfect child, who could do no wrong. I left home at 18 and kept contact to a minimum after that, only speaking to them during holidays or family events. When I inherited my grandmother's house, I finally felt free. No more rent, no more roommates, just a space of my own. I've been living there peacefully, working my job in construction and fixing up the place on the weekends. The house needed work, but it had good structure and was located in an area where property values were rising. Last Tuesday, I came home from a long day and found my key wouldn't open the front door. I tried everything, even checking if I had the wrong key. I walked around to the back and saw new locks there too. That's when it hit me. Someone had changed the locks. I called a locksmith right away. While waiting, I noticed my stepsister's car parked in the neighbor's driveway. She was 8 months pregnant and had been bouncing between relatives since her boyfriend left her. When the locksmith arrived, he confirmed that the locks had been changed recently. The fresh scratches were proof enough. Furious, I drove straight to my dad's house. He was in the garage, acting like nothing was wrong. When I asked about the locks, he pretended not to know anything. Then my stepmother came out. Her face said it all. She started talking about how my stepsister needed a safe place for the baby and how I should move out because I was young and could find somewhere else to live. She said since my dad was my next of kin, the house should have gone to him. I gave them 24 hours to return my keys or I'd call the police. My dad tried to play it off, saying it was just temporary and that I could stay in their basement. I left and spent the night in a motel, researching property laws. I called my grandmother's lawyer the next morning. He was livid. He immediately began drafting legal documents and confirmed that what they'd done was illegal. When I visited the house later that day, I saw my stepsister moving in. Boxes, furniture, baby stuff, they were settling in like it was theirs. My elderly neighbor came over and said she saw my dad and stepmom with a locksmith that morning. I filed a police report on Thursday. The officer said it was mostly a civil matter but agreed to come with me to document everything. When we got there, my stepmother answered the door. She had no proof of ownership or rental agreement. My stepsister looked surprised to see me with the police, and I realized she might not have known the full story. The officer told them they needed to leave or face charges. My stepmother lost it, yelling about how I was ruining a pregnant woman's life. My stepsister said she thought I had agreed to the arrangement. The officer gave them until Friday evening to leave. My lawyer and I documented everything, and I started the eviction process. On Sunday, we served them papers. My stepmother screamed that we were causing stress that could lead to early labor. She claimed the will was invalid, but my lawyer calmly explained that challenging it would require proof they didn't have. On Monday, my neighbor handed over security footage from her camera showing my dad and stepmom with a locksmith on Tuesday morning. My lawyer was thrilled. Proved this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was planned. He filed for an emergency court order. The judge saw the evidence and wasn't happy. He granted immediate possession of the property back to me, ordered them to pay for new locks, legal fees, and damages. The total was almost $8,000. My stepsister called me crying, asking to stay until the baby was born. I felt bad but said no. I gave her contacts for organizations that help pregnant women. By Thursday morning, they were moving out. My stepmother yelled that I was ruining the baby's life. I ignored her. Later, I found that some items were missing, including my grandmother's antique clock and jewelry. We reported the theft. This time, the police took it seriously. On Friday, my dad called, sounding defeated. We agreed to meet with lawyers. His lawyer tried to play it off as a misunderstanding, but we presented all our evidence. My dad admitted that my stepmother convinced him the house was worth too much to leave to me. She wanted to move my stepsister in and eventually challenge the will. They offered to return the items, pay for the locks and legal fees, and stay away if I dropped charges. We countered. Return all stolen property, pay $15,000, sign a document relinquishing any claim to the estate, and agree never to contact me again. My dad agreed. On Monday, they returned my things and gave me the check. My dad apologized and asked if we could fix our relationship. I told him no. He had made his choice. He didn't just try to steal my house. He showed me exactly where I stood in his life. That isn't something I can forget. I changed all the locks again, installed security, and started making the house truly mine. I heard my stepsister had her baby and moved to another state. My dad is sleeping in the garage now because his wife blames him for losing the house. I don't feel happy about their pain, but I also don't feel guilty. They tried to steal from me and I stood my ground. Every upgrade I make to the house honors my grandmother's memory. She wanted me to have a secure future, and I fought to protect that. My dad didn't just lose a house. He lost his son, and that's something he can't ever get back. He just sat there, looking like he had been hit by a truck. His face was red, his hands were shaking, and for the first time in my life, he looked small. Not the man who used to tower over me, not the father who once ignored me for his new family, just a person who got caught trying to take something that didn't belong to him. I didn't say a word to him as I walked out of the courtroom. I didn't need to. The judge had said it all. I walked out feeling like my grandmother was still with me in some way, that she had protected me one last time. That house wasn't just property. It was a symbol that someone had believed in me, even when my own father didn't. After that day, my father tried to call me a few times, left a couple voicemails saying things like, "We should talk," and "Family shouldn't fight over things like this." But I didn't answer. Where was that energy when I was a kid, begging for a bit of attention? Where was that spirit when he let his new wife treat me like a burden? He only wanted to talk now because he lost, because he thought he deserved something that he never earned. I kept every message, just in case he tried something again, but I never replied. My life finally felt quiet again, peaceful. Now I'm living in the house. I fixed up a few things, added some new paint, and planted flowers my grandmother used to love. Every morning I sit by the window with a cup of coffee, feeling thankful. Not just because I won, but because I stood up for myself, even against my own father. I think a lot about the kind of family I'll build one day, and I know one thing for sure. I'll never treat my children the way he treated me. I'll make sure they know they're loved. I'll make sure they always have a place that feels like home. And as for my father, he can keep his regret. I've got my peace. Like and subscribe for more stories like this.